Hello, gluttoniers. Welcome back to High Gluttony. I know it's been a minute. I hope you all had a lovely Thanksgiving. I apologize for the silence with no explanation, but it's just me now, so I don't have to be that reliable. Since we are into the holidays now, and we're all starting to think about holiday gifts and things we should be giving as holiday gifts, today I am making chocolate truffles. Because I'm sort of amazed we haven't done this for the podcast yet, but sometimes it takes a minute to get to things. Well, I'm going to be scooping and rolling my truffles today. I actually made the base yesterday to give it time to sit overnight, and I will talk you through all of that in just a minute. But I found a super fun cocktail called the Holiday Snow Globe Cocktail, and it has glitter in it, so that makes me very happy. Essentially, it just comes down to freezing a stick of rosemary in there so it looks like a little Christmas tree. And you have a little thing that holds it at the bottom. Now mine has come off the bottom of the glass. I wonder how you could fix that, but I'm not a bartender, so I'm not really going to worry that much about it. Yeah, you freeze a stick of rosemary in there. You pretty much can do this with any fizzy drink that has a clear base. And just buy some edible glitter and put glitter in it. I have gin and tonic that I am enjoying today. That was the suggestion, was gin. But pretty much you could just do this with any clear fizzy drink. Even the non-alcoholic ones, I think this would work. It's very fun. I might just start putting glitter in my carbonated beverages. Because that is how much I like glitter. And I figure edible glitter's fine. I should probably find out what edible glitter is made out of. If you haven't been able to tell, because I have been meandering a little bit, I am high. I had a hit of lemon pound cake before I started. It's treating me pretty nice. We get that from our local cookies dispensary, which is apparently a nationwide chain. Kind of wild to think of nationwide marijuana chains. It's doing me all right. Hopefully I can kind of stay on track. Let's talk about ganache for just a minute. So I've been making ganache for 23 years now, pretty much since my first year of culinary school. It's been a while since I actually made one. Actually, that's not true. Last year, instead of doing tempered chocolate, because I think we've talked about how much I hate tempering chocolate, and it's just not something I'm good at, and I'm just tired of trying with it. And plus, there's plenty of ways to use chocolate without tempering it. I did a hard ganache, exactly like I'm using today for the truffles, to do coverings on the turtles I make for my brother for Christmas every year and his birthday. I have a vast amount of experience with ganache. It is not terribly hard to make. It is something that can break if you get it too hot. It is an emulsion. We love emulsions here. I believe the emulsifier in it would be like whatever stabilizers they've added into the chocolate. Like the chocolate itself is sort of the stabilizer. You have, in your ganache, you have a hard, medium, and soft. And this really comes down to the ratio. So a hard ganache, like I'm using today, I'm using 16 ounces of chocolate and 8 ounces of cream. And this makes a hard ganache that you would be able to scoop and use as coating for things. It's a little harder than you would want to use on some types of baked goods, but you could. There's no reason you can't. Just my personal preference probably wouldn't be to do that. Whereas maybe a more of a medium ganache is where I have lived in my ganache life. That pours really easily. It stays a little bit softer. So like on a cake, it kind of enrobes it. And then you have soft ganache, which is essentially chocolate cream as the ratio for that. If you use the same amount of cream I'm using, 8 ounces, you'd use 5 ounces of chocolate for the soft ganache. And pretty much medium is anywhere in between those two ratios. Now, one of my least favorite things to do is reheat ganache because I have broken so many ganaches. It's just not really what I like to do. We're actually trying to keep everything pretty cold. So we make it and let it sit. Unfortunately, I didn't read all the directions. The recipe I'm using from Serious Eats today says to leave it on the counter overnight, and I didn't read that. Mine went in the fridge, sat overnight. It does say it is not quite as silky if you do that. okay, I'll have to do a hell or good experiment and do a side-by-side comparison, because I hardly think I'm going to be able to really tell the difference. But you never know. And I made 3 different variations. So we have just a basic chocolate that I done, then a hazelnut and an almond. So there's a couple extra things. I've made hard ganache a lot as just cream and chocolate. Both Serious Eats and Recipe Tin Eats suggested adding butter to make it more rich, and you know my feelings. Butter is the best thing on the planet. So I'm like, yes, please, let's put some butter in there. Pretty sure that's the first time I've ever done that. So I'm excited about that component. Now, okay, I will point one other thing out. I came across a recipe from the New York Times for something that they call chocolate ganache. I would not call it a chocolate ganache, in my opinion, because we'll also talk about half-baked harvest in a second here, but it's really more of a chocolate sauce because they've added like coffee, which is not that you can't add coffee, but like they were saying like liquid coffee, which I was like, that's blowing my mind a little bit, because if you're really making ganache, water is your enemy. Therefore, coffee is your enemy. But they've also put sugar in it. And then you had all kinds of people down the bottom. They're like, I made truffles out of this. I did this out of this. And it's like, okay, that probably could be true. And it wanted you to thin it out with water, which I like lost my shit about. Now I'm high enough that I really want to get my hands into this truffle. So I'm going to put on some gloves. This is something I do to limit the amount of heat for my hands. There were a couple other suggestions on how you could, chill down your hands. Good news is it's not terribly hot here today. And if you're dealing with a hot climate, probably not the best time to make truffles. Just take that as it is. Another sip of my snow globe here. Mm-hmm. Keeping your hands cool. You can keep an ice bath around. If you have ice packs in your freezer, you can just get one of those out and touch it every once in a while. Since it's not very warm today, I am going to think that I'm probably okay if I don't use any of those methods, but we'll see, because I do have hot hands. I'm going to start scooping these, and then I keep talking about these truffles. So real quick, let's go over the ingredients according to Serious Eats. 8 ounces of semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate. Cocoa content of about 60% works best. I don't need your content input, kitty. Yeah, I know you love to talk when I'm talking. All right, 8 ounces of semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate. A cocoa content of about 60% works best. Half a cup of cream. For chocolate with 70% cocoa, increase the cream by a tablespoon or 2. 1 tablespoon of butter. 1 tablespoon of rum. Half a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder for coating the truffles. So I am making alterations as I am doubling this recipe. And then I am going to split this up. I have 1 portion that is just the chocolate. 1 portion that I am mixing with about a half cup of hazelnut spread that's been mixed with butter. And for my almond variation, I'm using almond paste mixed with butter and a little bit of almond extract. This did not work out as well as I was hoping. I think I may need to, in the future, whip it in the food processor instead of with a mixer. Or I need to use my stand mixer and not my hands, because I got kind of tired of whipping it. But it was taking a really long time for it to try and integrate those things. So my almond one is a little bit chunky from that almond paste. So I'm thinking maybe I'll puree it up in the blender, or sorry, not blender, food processor next time. And that way it'll be a little bit smoother, but I'm hoping it's not really bad. I'm gonna start by just scooping all of these things out, and then I will do a first roll. Then they're supposed to sit in the fridge for about 15 minutes before you roll them in the things. But I'm gonna kind of see how it goes, because I think if you have stuff that's too soft, Then you need to put it in the fridge, but I don't know that mine is too soft. Oh, definitely not. All right, so we're scooping. Oh, I might need a bigger tray. So this recipe, as I've made it, should make at least 48 truffles. I am using a portion scoop. I think this is a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons maybe. And a pinch of melon baller will also work for this. You're just trying to get consistent sized pieces. I think I'm gonna definitely fill this tray up before I run out of ganache, but that's okay. I can put some of this back and finish it later. But the texture is just about perfect. Not too difficult to, I think maybe I needed just a smidge more cream in this to make it a little bit easier to scoop. Now I'm trying the hazelnut. It's a little bit softer. Sort of looks like I may have just like not fully incorporated all the butter, so there's like little bits of butter coming through out here. So these are hazelnut butter truffles that I'm making actually. Oh, so let's talk about half-baked harvest and her abomination truffles. Okay, that's not true. They're probably delicious but they're not true truffles because she does not make a ganache. She actually makes a fudge. If you're being picky, like I like to be, I'm thinking people should get things right. Yeah, this is much softer. This one I probably will have to put in the fridge, although I'm curious to see if when it's warm, it'll adhere the outside better. I assumed I had cocoa powder in the house, but then didn't. So I got 4 different types of coating for these. All right, so now I have 8 of those, and I might put that in the fridge. Now we are on to the almond and butter. And I actually put a little bit of my homemade almond extract in this as well. Oh, the other ingredient that says in the recipe was like rum, which I just felt was unnecessary. Well, since I also had plans to flavor it with other things. But this is way softer. I'm almost thinking I could have melted a bit of chocolate and folded it in at the end here to stiffen this guy up because this one's real soft. Well, it's actually better incorporated than I was thinking it was going to be. I actually did worse on the hazelnut mixing. And this one is quite consistent all the way through with no patches of butter, which I was thinking there might be patches of butter in this one. But no, not at all. So now I have 8 of each of these that I've already scooped out. So my plain chocolate truffles, I have a combination of chopped up white chocolate chips, and butterscotch chips that I had made at one point, like as hot cocoa mix, because I did not have the cocoa powder I thought I had. Yeah, that works nice. I'm gonna pick off a few of those bigger guys. Yeah, I think I like the little bit of, heat from my hand. I think if you're working on a hot day, make sure you're keeping things chilled. Otherwise you'll have kind of, I was gonna say not really a hot mess, but yeah, kind of a hot mess. But since it is not very warm here today, keep dropping them in. So I guess I've discovered why you should roll them out at the same time as you're scooping them, because if you're dipping at the same time, you sometimes forget to do the rolling before you do the dipping. So on my hazelnut truffles, I have a ground up hazelnut to roll it in. And then for my amaretto, or my almond flavored, I have 2 different options. So I have almonds themselves or amaretti biscuit, just to, a little bit of heat from my hands actually makes it so this actually wants to stick. So I don't see the need to chill this right now after I've rolled it. But if yours are at all soft, because mine are still pretty hard, and so my hands have just warmed them up just that little bit enough to make it so the coating wants to adhere. Ooh, you know what I just thought of? Crushed pretzels. I am a huge fan of chocolate and pretzels. Oh, I wish I had some pretzels. Oh, all right, so that is the chocolate ones done. All these are a bit softer. Pretty much, I guess a good rule of thumb would be if you go to pick them up and they are difficult to handle, or they're pretty much melting in your hand, throw those puppies in the fridge. You'll save yourself a lot of time and heartache. think I have some frangelico around here. Missed opportunity to put the frangelico in these hazelnut things. This is my practice round because this is going to be part of my Christmas this year. Like, why not do something really fucking easy? And I might do these almond ones in the fridge for a minute. Just so they firm up so when I go to handle them, they aren't falling apart. But otherwise, these look very good. Quite pleased with this. I should have, yeah, folded some more chocolate into this to set it up a little bit more, but these guys are gonna go in the fridge for a minute before I roll them and stuff. I'll do the hazelnut first. Cute, 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 cute. Worked really hard on chopping these nuts up, so I'm glad they make kind of a perfect coating. It's worth it. So I just had another good idea. Chocolate peanut butter with pretzels on them. Yeah, this lemon pound cake is dangerous if I'm ever at an all-you-can-eat buffet. And yeah, those look awesome. Last but not least, the almond ones. They were barely in the fridge for 3 minutes, but we're cruising along here. So, do half in the biscuits. So I'll have to report back later on how the biscuit coating holds up. I'm mildly concerned that it might soak up too much moisture or fat and be unpleasant. So we'll see how that goes. If I could have let these sit for a few more minutes, it'd be a good idea. Oh, so I don't think I mentioned that actually said what the half-baked harvest was. I knew I was in trouble looking at her recipe because I saw the words sweetened condensed milk in there. And I was like, okay, so we're far out here. Because I would be curious if you could use evaporated milk to make these. So that is also a variation I might try at some point. Oh, shoot. I went over on my nut-coated one. I chopped that with the almonds with a nut chopper so that, oh, I love this. I'm kind of excited about the ones coated in cookies. I just don't know how this will hold up over time. Anyway, so I finished them all. I will take pictures. I will finish off the rest of my fillings. Try it, see how the amaretto biscuits hold up as a coating. But this is it for now. I'm gonna go and chillax for a while with my very fun sparkly drink. So be back for a epilogue. Okay, glutoneers. This is my final thoughts on the truffles. I have actually done another batch of the truffles at this point. Another few batches. I made like 100 truffles, way too many. I think I made like 150 truffles in different variations. I did another variation on the almond, but I put the almond paste with the butter into a food processor with the almond extract and ground that up, and the texture really wasn't any different. It's pretty much the same, but it was easier to get the butter incorporated into the almond paste. I made another variation of the hazelnut where I did add frangelico, and that was really good. I whipped the hazelnut and butter together and then also whipped it after I added the chocolate. So they were much lighter, kind of a fluffy truffle. I did end up doing a peanut butter and pretzel variation, which was decent, but I put them in the refrigerator and the pretzels got all stale. Not exactly a screaming success on those. So need to work on that a little bit. I also made a caramel and mixed chocolate. So it was dark chocolate and milk chocolate mixed together, which I ended up coating in a mixture of cocoa powder and amaretti biscuit crumbs, and then topped with a piece of flaked sea salt. Those were very good. I think that's it. I've just improved a little bit on my techniques, but my ones that with the pretzels, I either need to figure out how to do a pretzel that doesn't get stale in the refrigerator or freezer, or figure out a different method for adding the pretzel in. So that one needs work. Flavor-wise, pretty good, but the pretzel texture really kind of ruined it. So overall, very successful. I did do a batch of plain chocolate that I left on the counter overnight. I can't really say that there was a hugely discernible difference between the refrigerated and the non-refrigerated. It was fine. I think you're okay if you put them in the refrigerator. If you don't, great. You don't have to let them warm up to scoop them, but that's pretty much it. That is our truffle adventure here on High Gluttony. Off we go. I gotta find my coconut, for real.